turn this SpongeBob shit off.
I'm concerned that I'm going to freeze up again.
Okay, we're live now. So,
Right.
but there is a delay, so it's going to pop up here in a
Speaking
sec.
like 3-second bursts.
Yeah. What, to keep my computer awake? Apparently it just goes to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Now the screen is up. We're going to do a quick audio test. I'll go first. You hear me. Okay, Lindsay, go ahead and say something.
Please tell me you guys can hear me, because sometimes they can't.
All right, they can hear me. What about we hear Mother Mayhem? Got
Yep,
Cody.
yep.
Why do birds
Suddenly appear.
every time Lee is near?
Strangers
All
in the night, exchanging rubbers. This one's
All right,
kinda
we're all
tight.
set.
We're all set. Okay, cool. We're going to do a special little intro, and then we're going to do the normal Scream Stream intro for you guys, okay? So, hold on to your nuts. Let me go get it.
Bloop, bloop.
Find it. There it is. Okay. I know. How do you like that, Lindsay? Why did I do this again?
You gotta know to laugh at yourself.
I've made a terrible mistake. Beth S., nice hat, thank you. Feel these nipples!
Oh, me, baby.
Oh, did it already start itself?
The dance needs jean shorts and a cucumber. No cucumbers.
We got like a 30-second delay, too.
Goes from 40 watching to 100 watching to 62 watching.
They're full watching.
People change their minds once they saw me dancing.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those, I think.
Yeah.
Prominently shotgun posting to help someone. All right.
Fuck it, we'll do it. Fuck it. Eat dinner.
What is happening?
Intro. It's almost over. It's almost over.
Oh, no, not.
This is coming at the perfect time, too.
Oh, brother.
There we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Scream Stream. I hear the kitties. But
Yep.
it's perfect.
I'm gonna hear him
because
probably for
it's,
another 10 minutes.
It's childhood horror, right? So,
Hey,
Not
I'll
fitting.
play it.
Lindsay, say hello. And Lindsay's frozen. We're gonna move to CP.
They're totally unimpressed.
CP,
Hi.
say hi.
Hi. No vegetables this time. Hi.
We actually just propped Lindsay up. So.
It's just an image of her.
Yeah. Hey, at least it's not me that's frozen, right? Cody, say hello, brother.
What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's having a good night. Say hello.
Yeah, boom.
Hello.
Hey.
Let's say hi to some people in the chat real quick. All right, close my stupid window there. Okay. We got Renegade Hero, Brandon Tabato, Chris.
Wait. Lindsay, say hi now. Say hi now,
I'm
Lindsay.
here!
Okay, Lindsay made it. Sweet. Lindsay
Seriously,
says hi.
what is going on?
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Cats and dogs living together. It'll be anarchy. Dino from the Late Late Horror Show, Kevin Smart, Chris, the Horror Real, Juno 2000, Chris, Simon Moon.
You told
what's
her
up,
to
brother?
say hello.
I love Simon
What'd you
Moon. He's
expect?
awesome. Alonzo Smith, Tiffany K. So many great, beautiful people in the chat. But we got a great show for you tonight. We're going to do, if you look up into the top right of your screen, we got the kill list. We're going to talk about childhood horror. That's like our main theme tonight. And we're just going to talk about movies that got us into horror, or maybe some of us might have been late bloomers. Because one of my subscribers told me that I'm a fake today, and he said you're not a true horror fan because you don't think Rob Zombie's Halloween is great. So
I love
We get
the
that a
true
lot.
fans.
Yeah.
You're not a true
I'm not
Friday
a
the
true
13th fan.
fan,
Let's
yeah.
love Ken Powder better than everybody else.
Did you guys get the manual?
I did
So-
not.
There's
get
a
the
manual now.
Yeah.
It's freaking
Have
stupid.
to follow it.
So CP even asked me, he was like, "Are you in a bad mood today?" I was a little salty today because I was getting attacked on my Rob Zombie's Halloween review.
Naturally.
It's gonna happen, right? But
Yep.
also, we're gonna talk about some news because there's a Candyman reboot in the works by Jordan Peele. We're not gonna talk about the movie The Predator.
Producing it.
We're gonna talk a little bit more about, I guess, the controversy that's going on right now, and maybe talk a little bit about the past Predator movies and why that's a franchise that they can't seem to like get off the ground. Yeah, and other. We're gonna do Killer Flicks topics, and we're gonna talk about. Kate Beckinsale says there's no more Underworld, so that'll be fun to talk about.
Woo!
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing.
Okay, I guess first thing I want to ask is we'll start with Cody today. Cody, about what age did the horror bell ring in your head that said, "Hey, I think I love this genre"?
It was about 3 or 4. I want to say it was 4 because I can't remember much about being 3, but it was one of those two ages. I've told this story quite a few times, but I remember walking into our apartment and my dad was putting this movie on, and I sat down interested in what it was, and all I remember was this little molten plastic swirling into the middle of the screen, and then all of a sudden Child's Play 3 comes up.
Oh, nice.
And ever since Child's Play 3, I watched that, and then I think I was just like, I want more of this. Where's more? And my dad had VHS tapes of the first 4 Nightmare movies. He had all the Child's Play movies that were out by that time. We had Halloween, and I remember from that day forward, like Chucky and Freddy were on my TV more than anything else. Like I remember, I literally used to watch Nightmare on Elm Street before bed. So it was kind of instantaneous for me, and it was because I loved it and because everything appealed to me about those movies. But also, when I was young, until I went to like maybe 2nd grade, I went to a Christian school that was pretty strict, and so nobody in that entire school probably watched those movies. So it was kind of like this hidden world that I had to myself. Like nobody knew what Freddy was. I'd mentioned Chucky. They had no idea what I was talking about. So it was kind of like this forbidden fruit that I had a taste of. So that was my little intro.
Well, at least, you know what? I mean, following your history, you have such a close relationship with your father, and it seems like your father was also a really big horror fan, which not everybody can say that. I don't know. I guess talk to me a little bit about, like, your father as far as, like, do you know, like, what got him into horror?
Well, my dad grew up in kind of the golden age of horror, in the 80s and everything like that. He always tells me the story about when he went over to his girlfriend's house and she had Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's just this little indie picture that she wanted to check out. And, obviously Halloween was already pretty big by the time he was getting into those movies. Friday the 13th, he'll tell me stories about how him and my uncle went to the drive-in to go see Friday the 13th Part 3. So I think my uncle and my dad, they were really close. And they used to do a lot of things together, especially with movies. So it was part kind of growing up in that era and part my uncle's influence that kind of made my dad fall in love with the genre. And then he kind of just passed the torch to me very young. So it was a lot of my interests my dad kind of passed on to me, like my interest in music, a lot of the movies that I grew up with. I came out the womb, he put headphones on me and sat me in front of the TV. So it's, it comes from that.
That's cool. Lindsay, was your mother like you said your mother was a pretty big horror fan, right?
Yeah. I'm not frozen right now.
No, you're not.
Okay. I'll probably just continue talking.
Oh shit!
And she froze. Poor Lindsay. we'll come back to Lindsay, but CP,
Yes.
I'm
Yes,
really
hi.
curious about because you.
Wait, she's trying to come in.
Oh, is she back? No.
Jason.
13.
CP, I watched your interview with the horror show. Watched the whole thing, and I was just enthralled.
What,
I
are you
found it.
stupid?
No, I'm serious. I found it so interesting, learning a little bit more about you, and how you. I would say out of all four of us, you're not like the diehard horror fanatic. I think you love horror movies, but you're not like embedded like we are. I guess.
I'm pretty hardcore. I guess it's a contradiction. I like a lot of mainstream stuff. It's those deep cuts where I'm like, all right, I need some sort of story to pass me along here. Kills alone aren't going to carry me through a movie.
Yeah.
But it's if it's mainstream. Lindsay's back. Quick, while she's still here.
Yeah.
I'm getting like really, really upset right now.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what's
Lindsay.
wrong.
You know what? It was your turn. Because it happens to all of us at least once.
No,
Are you
it's
going
happening like
off of
every
your
2
phone?
minutes.
Yeah, you're on your phone or your
No, I'm on my laptop. And this is what I always use.
Yeah, and we've never had this issue before.
Yeah, not with me freezing up like every other minute. I'm not sure if it's because something's streaming out in the living room, but it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. We could be in a horror movie right now, like one of those laptop.
To answer
horror
your
movies.
question, my
Yes.
mom was a huge horror fan, and that's before I get cut out again.
Okay.
That's why I'm into horror.
Yeah, you keep talking until you cut out. Tell me more. Tell me more. Go.
No, she just always watched horror movies, so like I didn't know like the differences between like genres. It was just horror movies were normal to be on all the time.
Yeah.
So that's what I always wanted to watch. I don't want.
Hold that thought.
Then we
Good talk.
So CP, continue with
Yo.
what you were saying.
Mainstream stuff. I'll dig a little bit into the A24, the late independent stuff.
Yeah.
Has really been hitting it out of the park.
What-
So who are we talking about bringing back
Now
again?
we're fucking. What are you doing?
Boob
Yeah, boo ball. There you go. Is Lindsay still out? I think she is.
I still hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Lindsay. Well,
Eating.
now you were saying something about independent. You said I know you are like more story oriented. You need a little bit more than say just a straight up slasher movie. Taking off bodies one by one.
Kills alone aren't gonna. I mean, I can watch a 3-minute kill list on YouTube and get the same out of that movie that I would than just watching
and
it.
yet he's the Friday the 13th guy.
Right. Yeah. That's why I said it makes no sense whatsoever.
You're touche. I'm willing to venture that it's perhaps 150% nostalgia as far as that's concerned.
Would you say that it was Friday at a very early age that maybe got you into horror?
It's absolutely. It's the gateway drug of sorts. My uncles were watching Final Chapter, and I was young, 4 or 5, young. And what caught my attention was a nude scene more than anything. And I was just walking through the room, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on here on the TV?" And they tried scaring me off. They said, if you don't leave, Jason's going to get you. And I'm like, well, who the hell is this Jason fella?
Well, he's going to have to
Let's see
wait.
what I'm dealing with.
I'm kind of busy right now.
Yeah. Can you guys leave the room? I need to use the bathroom for a second. But yeah, it just started with that. And I think my uncles kind of trying to scare me out of the room so they could watch their horror movie by themselves. It just made me intrigued more.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
a love was born.
A love was born.
Jason was my first.
Well,
It was
I always think there's like this special mix that created CP of all these different things, because CP is one of the most unique people, and I love him to death. So,
Weird. I think the word you're looking for is weird.
yeah, but good weird. Lindsay, how are you holding up? Are you still with us?
I'm here right now.
Oh, Lindsay, breaking my heart.
I don't want to keep screwing up your stream. Like
You're not.
I'm getting
You're not
really
gonna
pissed
screw up my
off.
stream.
I'm wondering
saying
if
more
it
than one
would be
word.
beneficial or if it'll screw you up even more if I go off the call,
Okay.
restart our internet.
That would be fine
and-
if you want to try
Worth a
that.
shot.
Yeah.
Just
give it a shot.
because if it's going to keep doing this every minute or so, there's no benefit to me being here. I mean, not like there normally is, but at least then I could contribute.
Yeah, why don't we try that? You want to do that, and then when you get back, just DM me, and then I'll call you back on Skype. You want to do that?
Might want to wait for her to come back.
We'll hear her response in 45 seconds. Me,
Okay.
Ding, dong, boom.
It was always funny for me growing up because my dad was a single parent, and so like my mom would kind of come back around and they'd rekindle and try things again multiple times. Well, until I was like maybe 11 or 12, but it was always funny because when I was really young, like maybe 6 or 7, she'd come around and my dad would throw in like Basic Instinct or something like that. And I'd be in the living room, and then all of a sudden something would come up.
Basic Instinct, damn.
Something. I'm just giving an example of something that has pretty much everything that you would not really traditionally show a kid. But I had seen everything, so I'd sit there and I'd watch it, and then something would come up, and my mom she'd be like, "Oh my God, he's watching this!" And he's like, "He's seen this. He's seen kids. He's seen ass. He's seen murders."
Well, I guess that's the big thing about, because that's kind of the age-old debate. Like, when should you let your kids watch horror? And I guess it depends on the subgenre of horror. But I think some horror films don't affect kids as much as you think they would, as long as
It depends on the kid too.
It depends on the kid. I think it depends on the upbringing. And I like I said, I think it depends on the movie. If you're watching slashers, like I was watching Friday the 13th when I was like 7 years old, and it never hurt me. So
Yeah, if the kid is sharp enough to realize, this is fake, this is a movie, it's on TV, it's on the same thing that the purple dinosaur's on, that's fine. But if the kid's watching, like licking his lips and it's time to turn the TV off.
if the kid's getting antsy to grab rabbits after or something, then you might want to.
No, Mom, let me cut the chicken. All right, we've had enough of the horror.
Exactly. Yeah, it depends. And that was something that I was always a mature kid. I always knew the difference between real life and movies, and nothing ever scared me. I've said this a lot of times too. Like, there was never a movie that scared me or gave me nightmares or like fucked me up mentally, except for Zelda from Pet Sematary and Tim Curry's Pennywise. Those were the only two in my entire childhood growing up that ever I would have a nightmare about, or I'd still watch the movie, so I guess I'm a masochist. But it was, nothing. Freddy, Chucky, it was always fun to me. It was never like this scary thing that's gonna fuck me up at night. But yeah, it's different because like even whenever I got with Holly, obviously I was watching whatever, and I kind of adopted my dad's philosophy of as long as you can handle it, sure, sit down and check it out. But like my daughter, she goes to all the horror movies with me. She went to Hereditary with me. She was the only person under 30, and she's like 7 years old sitting next to me, and she's just like, "This is good." So it was that. But then we had like my son Shane. He was a little bit more timid, and I'd be in the living room watching something with Bella, and Shane would go in his room and put on Doctor Strange or something. So he's just now kind of coming around to it. About I'd say 7 months ago, to where he's actually enjoying it and starting to kind of jump in. But yeah, it was just those two alone were a big difference, and they're 3-year difference from each other.
And if I'm digging into the chat a little bit, Kapani Lay, she says she wouldn't let her kids watch Scooby-Doo until they were in 5th grade. So
wow.
You know what though? I think my parents were a little bit like that because my father was actually like a Pentecostal preacher growing up. And they were pretty strict. They went through phases where like, we're not going to listen to rock and roll, and then they'd have other phases where like, I don't care, you watch whatever you want, I guess they were just they were always like interested in what we were doing. But I started with, I don't remember, I remember this memory of when I was being babysat when I was probably like 3 years old, 4 years old, and my mother picked me up, and I think I either just woke up or maybe I was just about to fall asleep. But I remember seeing this commercial on TV, and it was like the eyes that you would see in the like The Exorcist. It was these yellow eyes, and I remember that memory has still stayed with me to this day. And I think that might be like the thing that got me into horror. you know, or maybe.
So
like
was it in
subconscious.
color or black and white? Was
I think
It was 1927.
the chat is saying that me and CP's screens are messed up.
Yeah, that's because Lindsay left. I was going to leave it like that for a minute. If she's
okay.
back.
Yeah, if she's coming back, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and so
Gotcha.
she comes
Go
back
ahead.
once she pops in, then she'll be good. But I will say though that I didn't watch a lot of horror movies. Like I wasn't watching horror every day when I was like say 10, 11 years old. It was when I became a teenager, like 13, 14. I remember my sister taking me. She was on a date, and we went to see Psycho 3 and The Hills Have Eyes Part 2 at the drive-in. And I think that was what really got me into like I'm full on now. I just love horror to death. So that was kind of my history with it. Psycho 3, I think everybody has that nostalgia reasoning for liking a certain movie, you know, because I see that. I think I see the word nostalgia in my comments more than any other comment in my videos. What about you guys, CP?
I see the word Lee more in my comment section.
I see who the fuck
Good
are
job,
you?
Lee.
And I see Lee.
Good job, Lee. Great job, Lee. Like what?
And Cody, where's Cody?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What was the question? I had.
I don't know.
I'm gone.
Nostalgia.
Oh yeah, nostalgia.
nostalgia.
Yeah, no, I mean, like when I went back and rewatched a lot of Friday the 13th, only 6 and 4 and 1, they really kind of stick out to me. I can go back and watch something like 8 and think, wow, I can't believe. I mean, I can't tell how many times I spent a week's allowance renting that video, that VHS at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And, you know, looking back thinking, man, you're an idiot.
Wait.
But yeah, that's the case with anything. Like these Star Wars kids today, they're dealing with the same shit. Anything that you experienced as younger, and you had good times with, you kind of want to replicate that because we're innocent. And, oh wow, everything's just popping off.
I think Lindsay might have just messaged me. I think she wants she's just starting the laptop up again. So
oh right,
I'll tell her to jump back in the call because I think she can call back in.
Yeah.
When you're back.
Cody.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, nostalgia is a very powerful thing. There's movies that's the reason why there's some movies where you try to get people to push them to watch them as soon as possible, because when you get them later on in life, sometimes it's not the same effect. So even the franchises that we always talk about, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, there's people that can watch those nowadays and they're like, oh man, you love this, what's up with this? But if you watch it growing up, it's like the greatest fucking thing on earth. So it's weird. And that's also why you have usually people's favorite franchise of the big three is the one that they grew up with. You know, very, very rarely does somebody like watch them and make this objective choice. Well, I think these are the better ones. It's always the one you grew up watching. Like I grew up watching Freddy the most, so I'm partial to that. Lee grew up with the Halloween. You grew up with Friday the 13th. So it's crazy how much nostalgia, even years later, can play into your viewing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsay, say something. Are you back with us?
Hi.
Good deal. She made it back.
I'm here right now.
Take the two.
You sound clearer too. So
We'll see how this goes.
Well, Lindsay, we were talking about like nostalgia because I see that word in my comments so much. Is that one that you see in your comments when you get comments on your reviews? People say, "I love this movie because it was the first movie I saw in the theater" or something like that.
I've been getting it more since I started doing like the In Defense Of kind of series. Yeah. Because most of the reasons that I love those movies are because of the nostalgic value that they hold for me. Like Jaws 4, I watched a lot when I was younger. Jaws 3, I watched a lot when I was younger. Just those ones, I think, because most of the time, anything that I've been reviewing hasn't been a lot of older films. Yeah. I tried for a while to keep up with newer ones because people wanted reviews, and then they get like no views. So I'm not really sure what to review.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if I go back and do one of those older horror films, I tend to get a lot more views on those than if I do that. So I think that's one reason why, like, when new movies come out on weekends, I'm not like so eager to get them out on Thursday because there's a good chance that, or I might not even review them. Like I saw Peppermint this last weekend, and I was like, that was a fucking piece of shit, and I'm not gonna review it because.
But with older movies, it's like, where do you start?
Yeah.
Like start with the big three, but then like that's a lot to like work through. Like you only just finished your like Halloween Revisited. Like there's a lot. 2 years
to finish Halloween Revisited. 2 years.
Yeah. So that's a lot to take on, and other than the big three, I don't know where to begin. But no, I don't get as many.
But then you got guys like Sinister Cinema Reviews, Jason over there. He can run through Halloween in a week. You know, it's funny how we all have different methods of the way we review things.
Or that Cody Leach fucker who can pop out videos.
Cody can knock them right out. Like he plans on doing the whole Halloween franchise by the time the new movie comes out, right, Cody?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cranking them out.
Fuck that Cody Leach.
Indeed. Can we?
No. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Whatever that is.
That's the first time Cody's ever been like speechless. That's great.
What I just said, Cody, was fuck Cody Leach.
There you go.
I'm sure Cody does it on a regular basis.
Yeah. I'm doing it right now. No.
Awkward. Oh, weird.
Yeah,
my computer's freezing up again.
But you're absolutely right, because like it gets frustrating sometimes, because there's times when you have big movies that come out and you'll have like, especially the summer season. The summer season is aggravating as fuck, because you'll have a movie every week and you're like, damn, I really need to review that.
Yep.
And especially with me nowadays, like I used to be able to go to the theater on Thursday nights, no problem. But now with me and Holly's work schedules, I'm lucky if I can go by Saturday. And then by the time I get the review out, it's Monday or a couple of days later. And even if we get it on time, you'll get like the rare, like the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was kind of a lightning in a bottle review, and that only got 5,000 views. But if I put Scream 4 out now, exactly, I'll probably have 1,000 views by the time the stream is done. So it's weird how people want to talk more about the stuff that they love and the stuff that they've grown up with, and the stuff that they've watched a dozen times. But if you have this new It movie that's out, Hereditary, everybody's talking about it. They don't really care about going out and getting everybody's opinion. They just want to go see the movie. So it's weird.
Now, I guess jumping back on to like childhood films, let's kind of zero in on what films we loved the most when we were kids. That was a good one. Good push.
I'm sorry, what?
CP, what's a movie that you really loved as far as horror goes when you were a kid?
Oh, Friday the 13th Part 6, my first VHS.
Yep. I think that's one reason why you love that movie so freaking much.
Almost too much. I've seen it perhaps 500 times. I'm not bullshitting.
Damn.
I used to wear that tape out. I think I had two VHSs because
Did you go through a phase like when you first saw it? Like, first off, when you first saw it, was it the year that it came out?
No. It was whenever it came out on VHS to buy. So that was a considerable amount after it, because they had it in rental stores first, and then like somehow it was available to buy a little bit afterwards. I mean, you remember the 80s?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
You were 60 at the time.
Yeah, I was 60 at the time. Lindsay would say I was 80 at the time, but whatever.
I mean, if we're going to be accurate.
Yeah. So, as far as like, so you saw it on VHS for the first time. So let me ask you this: were you like just watching it over and over all day? Because I used to do that back in the day. If I loved a movie, I'd like watch it a couple times. I could never do that now.
Yeah. It was definitely like, all right, well, there's nothing else to do right now. Let's just start it over again.
Yeah.
Rewinding was the biggest bitch. That was it.
Oh. Did you have like one of those like the fast rewinders where you just like you take it out of the VHS player and you put it in there and it rewinds it for you?
Oh yeah.
My dad refused to buy those. Yeah, my dad. Oh, sorry.
We had
my dad
he
refused to buy them.
Well, now they have they do have VCRs that do that super fast rewind, because mine is like that. Like if I hit rewind, it's like done in like 30 seconds.
What's a VCR?
I don't know.
VCR today? What?
Just alien technology.
I know a CP used to give me crap because I really got back into VHS probably about a year ago. Like I started collecting horror VHS, and I think I like I like that feeling of just it's nostalgia. You know, I like watching an old. I found this old 1983 Color Track 2000 TV at my previous job when I worked for Habitat for Humanity, and I saw this thing and it looked like it was in new condition. Yeah, it is. It's older than you. And it made me, I was like, oh wow, to watch a movie on this thing is gonna be awesome. And I watched the first Halloween on it, and I was just like, oh god, this is so cool. So that's kind of what made me start this whole like VHS reviews thing. And I would park the camera like right there in front of the freaking TV. Lindsay, what's a movie from your childhood that like sticks out the most?
I'm like very close to CP, but I would watch Friday the 13th, part 3, 4, 5, like in succession, almost daily. But I didn't have, my mom had parts 1 through 5 on VHS, but we didn't have 6, and we didn't have 7 or anything like that. 6 and 7 I didn't even see until after 8 came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh wow.
But I loved, part 4 was usually like my favorite.
Yeah, part 4 is
but
the best.
Part 3 still has that nostalgia for me, and part 5, guilty pleasure. I still love it.
Yeah. Like Lindsay jokingly said, okay, we're going to do like childhood horror. Me and CP are pretty much just going to be talking about Friday the 13th. So this is really going to be a Friday the 13th episode. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
Well, for me, my first one that I remember was Friday Part 3. So I'm adding to this thing too. But I didn't like get obsessed with Friday the 13th after that. But that movie did scare the shit out of me, and that's maybe that's a reason why I kind of veered away. But one movie that I remember watching really early on that scared me was Grizzly, which is a movie that I really haven't watched since. But back when Jaws came out, the next year you had King Kong 1976 with Jessica Lange. Which that was one that I loved immensely. I still love that movie. And then I watched, they had all these like creature features, and Grizzly was one of them, and Alligator and all those. So I think that's what I was into when I was young. I loved like creatures, and I loved like Godzilla, and King Kong was like my favorite. So that's kind of my big thing when I was a kid. What about you, Cody?
Well, to get away from, I didn't grow up with Friday the 13th at all. I didn't see Friday the 13th until much later in life. But to get away from slashers for a bit, and I think because we have the background up for it, The Lost Boys was a huge movie for me growing up. It got me into vampires. I was probably the next to Terminator 2. That was probably the VHS that I wore out the most, especially once I started, definitely when I was like 5 or 6, when I started not getting burnt out, but getting away from Freddy and Chucky a little bit and seeing some other shit. The Lost Boys has always been, I still contend that and John Carpenter's The Thing always compete for like my favorite horror movie of all time. I just love it to death. The music in it, the characters, just the coolness of it. Like I've always thought that Kiefer Sutherland is like the coolest looking vampire ever.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's the Billy Idol vampire.
He is. He really is.
Exactly. So yeah,
it makes him cry more and more.
Where's your dance, Lee?
Oh, I already played it. I'm not doing that shit again.
Exactly. But I always loved Corey Haim and Corey Feldman growing up too. So both of them being in it's always a big thing for me. Mm-hmm. So
that makes me think of another one, which is Silver Bullet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Another great Corey Haim movie.
That one's a shame because I never saw that movie until 6 months ago. Like when I saw the Blu-ray was out, I was like, I gotta check this shit out because the only thing I ever knew about it was Corey Haim and Gary Busey's in it, which sold, and then everybody always bitches about the werewolf. I was like, let me check this thing out, and I loved it. I was like, damn, if I had watched this movie growing up, this probably would have been my favorite werewolf movie.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites when I was little, for sure. I preferred it way above like The Howling, even when I was younger. So
yeah,
I just saw The Howling for the first time like a couple months ago.
I just started it for the first time and didn't finish it.
Shut up, man. You got a freaking
we had to leave for
during
something.
sex.
no love
Oh,
for
you
The
turned it
Howling
off right
thing.
after that scene, didn't you?
No, she was going into a.
I'll be right back.
It was like 10 minutes. She was going into a sex
Adult
store.
movie store. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
and
that's
then-
like the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like we watched 10 minutes of it and we had to go, so I never got back around to it.
Oh wow.
Oddly enough.
It's a good movie, but you have to like really get into it.
Yeah.
There's a transformation scene that's
Oh, insane!
Like for the time was kind of groundbreaking.
Worse than
two
American Werewolf in
transformation scenes
London?
that are amazing.
It's American Werewolf in London is still better,
Yeah.
but it's still pretty incredible.
Well, Rob Bottin actually did the practical effects for The Howling, who also did The Thing. So, yeah.
Name drop. Do you want me to pick that up for you?
I got it. Here it is. Can I step outside of horror for just a second?
Nope.
Oh yeah.
Because we're talking about childhood. Now, I will say, I watched Rocky IV on VHS about 1 million times when I was a kid. And Beth S., I know you'll love me for saying that because I know she's a big Rocky IV fan. But
Do you want to get angry right now?
yeah, go ahead.
I've never watched any of the Rocky movies.
Oh my god! I'm not on. I passed. Boy, I passed aggravation about a mile back. You wouldn't even get that line, would you? That's from Over the Top. God damn it.
Sorry. I think because my mom maybe wasn't so much into Sylvester Stallone, it was
Yeah.
never something that was like brought into the house. So
Stallone was my childhood. Like, he was my idol. Like, everything I looked up to growing up was Stallone. Like,
my falling in love with Stallone was Daylight.
Oh, really? Daylight. Okay, that's
I
a decent
love that
one.
movie.
Yeah. I like Daylight. It's different. It's one of the first. Well, I wouldn't say the first, but it's one of those. Those types of films that there was like a period in time where all those types of movies were
Natural
coming out.
disaster.
Natural, like Volcano and Twister.
Dante's
and,
Peak.
Yeah, Dante's Peak. But I think I could correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Daylight came out before.
I think so.
It might have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
CP, get on that.
Yeah.
Put that into the old computer there.
All right.
Yeah, Daylight
McCoy
came out
on
when I was in first or second grade when that came out, and I remember Dante's Peak was later on.
I don't think you guys realize
Daylight was like 92.
How big Stallone was in the 80s, like as far as like the theater experience. Like still to this day, my favorite theater experience besides Halloween 4 is Rocky 4. Like I was 13 years old. I was on a date. I was on a date at 13. It's kind of funny. But I was sitting in the theater, and my date actually did not like Stallone at all. And so she was rooting for like Ivan Drago. And by the end of the movie, she did like the crowd did at the final fight. She started turning and started cheering for Rocky. And I remember just sitting in the theater during that final fight, and everybody stood up. It was like a real fight, and they started cheering. And I've still just have never seen that happen in a movie theater. It was insane.
Spoiler alert.
It's crazy.
Oh, shut up! You're never gonna watch it anyway.
Dante's
No, I really probably won't.
and Volcano came out in 1997.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they came out the same year. I remember that.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Was there another one?
Daylight.
Oh, all right.
I'm gonna say.
I think it was 92.
96.
Oh, I thought it was way earlier than that.
96.
No, it's
Give
in
the
mid
man a prize. 96.
96 was Twister. I know that.
I think Cody already looked it up. I'm not giving him that one.
Hey, bullshit.
I'm waiting for Lindsay to drop a name so I can tell her to pick it up.
I don't have names memorized like you do, Lee. You know all like the technical shit, and then like CP knows all of like the filming terms. I don't know any of that shit.
Wait, if he knows the technical shit, what's the filming term?
Well, no, I mean he knows all like the names of everybody. You know all of like Dutch angles and stuff like that.
I still haven't used the word Dutch once in a review, by the way. Not once.
But you used the Dutch angle.
Ooh! It was a simulated Dutch angle.
Yeah.
What was it? I know what a Dutch oven is.
A Dutch angle in a Dutch oven.
Yeah. Now, if you can film that, you're a director.
That's an artist.
I know, right?
But you were talking about like outside of horror. I want to stay still kind of in horror, but somebody else mentioned it in the chat, which was Ernest Scared Stupid.
What do we do? What?
Jesus.
Such a good movie.
I was waiting for, you were like inflating, and then you said that, and then I was like, oh, that's
I think there's something wrong with my internet, because I think I heard her say Ernest Scared Stupid.
No, your internet's fine, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
It's a good kids like horror movie.
I saw one of those movies in the theater. Ernest Goes to Camp, I think.
I have that one on VHS.
Yeah. I forgot about it already.
One of the big ones.
I got to meet him.
One of the big ones I grew up with that was like more of a kid geared one was, which is surprisingly actually pretty dark when you watch it as an adult. Little Monsters, with what the fuck is his name?
Yeah.
Fred Savage, and the guy from Deal or No Deal plays the main monster.
Howie Mandel.
Howie
Yeah.
Mandel.
Yeah.
Don't
Shake his hand. Just give him a fist bump.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a movie I grew up with, and I watched it as an adult because it's on. I think it's on Netflix right now, or it's either that or Amazon Instant Video. But my kids love it, and it's surprisingly kind of dark and creepy with one of the directions that it goes. Like it's basically the premise that all the monsters under the bed is like this little society, and they just fuck with kids to get them in trouble.
Yeah.
And so he starts hanging out with this monster, but there's like a monster that actually like traps kids and turns them into monsters, and it was actually pretty. It's pretty. Got some heavy adult themes in there for a kids movie.
I'm gonna say something, then I'm gonna do a backflip. I've never seen Hocus Pocus. And I was just kidding about
that's another great one.
Yeah,
that's a yearly watch.
You made me think of The Gate. Amstel54 just mentioned it. Actually, I saw The Gate in the theater when it came out with Stephen Dorff. Loved that movie.
Yeah. I saw it after Blade. That was my parents' selling point. They were like, hey, there's this cool horror movie, and it's the bad guy from Blade when he's a kid. And I was like, what is that? And I watched it, and I've been a fan of that movie ever since.
I've always liked movies that really like capture your imagination, and I think The Gate, like you could go to this different world. And these kids, I haven't seen it in ages, but I think there was like the gates of hell in the ground, and then they went through. I just love it.
It does not age well.
I was just going to say,
I haven't seen
if you want to talk about nostalgia, I've watched it recently, and it
was so good when you were younger.
Yeah, it was. It was great.
So good.
It still holds up pretty well for me.
It's finally something that like you can put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah. But what I always love about that movie is the best friend character who's he's got the glasses and he's like the metalhead or whatever. There's a scene in that movie whenever he's rocking out to this vinyl and he's like jumping on the bed and everything, and then it gets to like almost like the Number of the Beast speech at the beginning, and this guy's talking and then he puts the sheet over his head and he's like giving the speech like he's the demon worshiper, and I'm like, I totally did that shit as a kid.
See,
that's
I
me.
thought of in the beginning from Motley Crue. I thought
in the beginning, that's a great album.
Yeah.
Shout out to Devil.
Yeah. Its number is 666. It's like that whole thing.
Come on now, children of the beast, be strong and shout at the devil. Man, I used to think that was like the most evil album ever, and I loved the hell out of it. It was great.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah, but like Time Bandits was another one. Did any of you guys ever see Time Bandits in the 80s? No? Okay.
Sure didn't.
No, only you, Lee.
Fucking brick wall here. Okay. Boo ball.
Fast forward 10 years.
What about Monster Squad? That was a big one.
I just watched that for the first time about 3 weeks ago.
Still haven't seen it.
It was fun. It was definitely, it's one of those movies that nostalgia would have been more powerful, but it was cool. I could see that, again, that would have been a movie that I probably would have wore the fuck out if I had watched it as a kid.
Watching it as a person in the year 2018, the word faggot is used quite prominently in that movie, and it's just by kids, and it's just shocking to the effect in which that. Let me just dodge this and run away. So anyway, Lee, next topic.
Well, I was looking
we got
at
somebody here pissed.
Yeah, Malika Ha-Olam. He's pissed that we're ignoring the chat. Malika, let me tell you something about a live stream. Sometimes when you're in a live stream, you get a flow going, and you're trying to watch the chat. And a lot of times I will dig into the chat and grab topics here and there, but I don't want to sacrifice the flow because I've seen live streams where they just field the chat the whole time.
Saw one recently.
It gets kind of. I love my chat. Don't get me wrong, but I can't read every single line on the chat. Of course, I love you guys being in there, and sometimes you throw great stuff out. So
that's on me too. Another thing is guys, if you're gonna throw one-word answers, you kind of pace yourself. Like, there's a couple of people that are chiming in every 4 seconds, and you're kind of cluttering the whole mess.
Yeah, I can't read it all, but like Brandon Meacham, he just mentioned Night of the Creeps. Boom. So, and that jumped right out at me. I love Night of the Creeps. That's a movie that I used to watch when I was a kid all the time. So that gets the conversation going again. But you can't, like I said, you can't field every single one. And I apologize if we don't, but
that's on me too.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if everybody knows, but I'm a bimbo. So while I'm reading the chat,
You
I'm
are
not.
bimbo.
I can't do two things at once. So I can't listen to what they're talking about. So then they come to me and they ask me something, but I've been reading the chat, so I have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I'll keep my mouth shut.
I'll keep my mouth shut. Well, yeah, too, like, when you have, and we're fortunate enough to have 157 people watching, sometimes it's, like, almost impossible to keep up with every single person in there, you know? Doesn't mean we don't appreciate it, though. I think it's fucking awesome that you guys are here, so.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said entitled much.
Oh, God, here we go.
Is that me? Or you?
I think he's talking about me. That's okay.
Who
Okay.
cares?
Hey, that's okay.
Hey, guess who's got a wrench?
I'm gonna bring my wrench out. Oh, boom! There you go.
Yeah.
I got the power.
There's been a lot of singing going on tonight.
Enjoy your
right?
300 seconds, TJ.
We're gonna have Scream the musical.
All right.
I'm sick that day.
Yeah, I know. I freaking hate musicals. So, now I can't not leave this section without talking about Trick or Treat, and not the 2009 one.
Oh yeah.
I grew up with Trick or Treat from '86 because I was a big metalhead, and you know, me and Cody, we know that like you don't get that many metal horror movies that often, and you especially don't get that many good ones
either.
Yeah, and Trick or Treat for me was like a dream. Like I loved the hell out of that movie, and it's one of those that like nobody else liked. Like nobody watches it. Trick or Treat from 2009 gets all the publicity, but I freaking love that movie. Cody, give me your thoughts on Trick or Treat.
Yeah, again, that might be a movie where nostalgia is a powerful thing, but I really do love the hell out of that movie. It's one of the only, like, because usually you get like a metal horror movie, it's always played for laughs. It's always cheese. It's always kind of a inside joke. Trick or Treat plays it totally straight. You know, it captures what it was like to be a metal fan in that era, where you're kind of ostracized, you're kind of the outsider. You got these guys that are out there speaking for you, and you kind of view it like that you're idolizing this person. And then, like a lot of people in the music industry, unfortunately, you lose them too early, or you lose them early on in their career. You know, the rock style or lifestyle takes them, and then all of a sudden you have this whole meltdown about, you know, what am I going to do now? My voice is gone. You know, my idol is gone, and what could I do if I could bring that person back? And all the repercussions of that is just everything about it. The soundtrack. I mean, we gush about that all the time.
Oh,
It's my favorite movie soundtrack of all time.
Yeah,
I watch
it's still
it like,
on my phone. I still listen to it to this day.
Yeah, and so it's just a very. There's a couple of special effects here and there that definitely, I would say they don't age well, but I don't even think they were very good for the time. Like the little ghost monster that kind of strips the one girl down.
Yeah.
But it's a very cool movie. It's definitely got its creepiness to it. It's got some coolness with having like Ozzy Osbourne in a small role that's very funny for him to take on. And what I think is actually him being pretty damn good, Gene Simmons in a small role as well.
I was just gonna say that. I freaking love Gene Simmons in that movie.
Yeah, so there's a lot about that movie that's just iconic for me. You know, wake up, sleepyheads, that whole thing. It's just, that's a movie that I'll gush about until the end of time. And if I have time between all these Halloween movies, I'm going to try to review it this October too.
Yeah, I was glad I did a drum cover and I reviewed it. But you know, most musicians they're not good actors. Oh, what? Oh, we got
Sponsored chat. Blake says, did
Go ahead.
No, if you got it, you got it. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Blake G in the chat, sponsored. Did any of you see Hellraiser in theaters?
No. I saw the fourth one in theaters. I don't remember shit about that experience aside from the
that was a good question.
the very last scene of the movie. I remember watching that on the big screen, but I rewatched the fourth one maybe 7 or 8 months ago, and I don't remember anything about that movie whenever I was watching it. I was like, I feel like I've never seen this before. But I remember seeing the Bloodline.
What about you, Lindsay?
I didn't even hear the question because I was still too busy laughing that CP finally got to say it.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I thought he was going to explode.
Now I know how Cody feels in the hollow stream. No, yeah. It was just, somebody pays, that's all. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
What was their question again?
Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Did you see any of the Hellraisers in the theater?
No. I actually didn't even watch any of the Hellraisers until about, 7-8 years ago.
Yeah. Really? 7-8 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I never watched any of them when I was younger.
The first one's a classic. It's one to me. Like if you have a top 20 horror movies, like straight up horror movies, first Hellraiser's got to be in there, right?
Ever?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, groundbreaking. You know, I don't know. I love the first Hellraiser. It's
where's Emily?
I'm in the minority on that
Emily's
one.
favorite.
Wow.
Late to the game. Not sure if anybody mentioned Return to Oz. Mr. Scary.
That movie freaked me out when I was little.
I saw
Was it
Wizard of
Ball?
Oz, but I never saw Return to Oz.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
It's definitely very, very creepy.
Huh.
But Fairuza Balk is adorable.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I love Fairuza Balk.
Vicky Valancourt.
What is that from?
That's high quality
That's from
H2O.
the Water Boy.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Vicky Valancourt. Foosball.
She showed me her boobers. I love them too.
I saw Hellraiser 2 and 3 in the theater, but I didn't see the first one in the theater. But as far as like which ones you should watch, Lindsay, which I think you said you've already done them, but like the first 3 are pretty much the only ones you want to even bother with.
I've watched all of them, but
Yeah.
because I own all of them now.
Yeah.
But I've watched them twice. I didn't like them the first time through, so I was like, I'm gonna give them another shot. And I still I love the Cenobites. I
Yeah.
think that they're awesome.
Right.
I feel like the storyline is never really executed to the fullest of its potential, I guess,
Yeah.
throughout the sequels. And in the first one, I went into it already knowing all about the Cenobites. So when I saw the first one, I'm like, they're barely even in here. It really bummed me out that there wasn't more of them.
Yeah, and they're barely in, hell, even Pinhead's barely in the movies, especially once you get to the later ones. And
So I think that I was just let down for the
Yeah.
original, and then the sequels, the storyline just gets
It's a detective story
Really
for
good.
half the sequels.
yeah.
Because it was originally just a detective script sitting on Weinstein's desk, and they said, "Hey, we need a Hellraiser movie. Let's turn this into a Hellraiser property, and let's pluck Pinhead in."
Yeah.
there." So that's what they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was the next? I think that's it for childhood horror. Unless you guys have any others. Somebody mentioned something in the chat though that I wanted to bring up. Let me scroll up here for a second.
However,
Go ahead.
do you want a name drop? I can name drop for you because I was going to bring this up earlier.
Go ahead.
I had actually I didn't know that there was another movie called Trick or Treat
Oh,
until a year or two ago, maybe. Eric over at the Death Twitch.
really? Okay.
Pick that up
I
for
like
me.
Eric. He's awesome.
Yeah, no, he did a review on it, and he loves that movie. I had never even heard of
yeah.
it, so he brought that one to my attention. But I still haven't seen it because I haven't
God.
found a copy of it. So
It's tough. It's a tough one to find, really, unless you look for the DVD. And I remember even the DVD was out of print for a while. There is a custom. Let's face it, it's pretty much a bootleg that's on eBay, which is one that me and Cody bought, and it's the best quality version you can find out there. But one thing about Trick or Treat is you have these movies that have these really great finales. Musical finales. Well, Trick or Treat does because you got this guy Sammy Kerr who comes back to life in the movie, and I'm not spoiling anything, but there's this great metal musical performance at the end that just get your fist pumping. So it just gets your blood boiling. It's good. I like it. You should definitely check it out.
I will have to, I guess.
Yeah, I oversold it, I'm sure, but it is a little dated. But
Now I'm gonna watch it. I'll be like, Lee, senile.
you like 80s? You like 80s metal, don't you?
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't think
I've
I've seen it used incredibly effectively
No.
in many films at all.
It's one of the
Devil's
best
Candy.
metal soundtracks out there. It is.
What about the Devil's Candy?
No, that's pretty much the exception to the rule for me. I
is
said
it?
I think in my review that the way they incorporated it was seamless to me. It wasn't too over the top to me,
Yeah.
but then that's also, I don't know.
John Kyle
It's-
Stanton, he said that I'm out of energy drinks. Thanks for the donation, John. It's so funny you said that because I was on my way home from work today and I meant to stop off to get a Monster for the stream, and I forgot.
Awesome.
Cool story.
I stopped and got beer.
Oh, look at you. What is that, Bud Light?
Bud Light with lime.
I got one of those party packs, so there's
When are you
like
gonna get a grown-up
lemonade. I got the party pack, so there's different flavors in there.
You know, I've never finished a full beer.
Oh.
I've never finished a full
You get down,
I
that,
just
you get down
did.
that last bit. And it's not really
You
good.
just did.
I need to go get another one.
Yeah. Sorry.
My daddy
Renegade
raised
saying
me.
safe.
Did you say your daddy
So-
brings it to you?
No, my daddy pretty much raised me, so
Oh, okay.
I can put down beers with the best of them.
That's funny.
Still. Renegade saying stay safe, Cody. I don't know
Thank
how
you.
close you are.
Oh,
to,
yeah, that's right. The hurricane. They said it
It's-
kicked down to a category 2.
It's still. It changes every 5 fucking minutes. It was supposed to hit South Carolina and North Carolina and whiz right past my area, and now it's making like a turn, and it's supposed to get slower, so it's going to stay even longer. And now they're saying it's downgrading to a category 2, but then I'm reading it also might speed back up. So I don't know. I've left the past 2 years. This year we're staying just because it's so up in the air, and I don't really want to. I don't want to spend the money to have to go way the fuck inland or way the fuck north. So I think we're going to try to stick it out, and we should be fine. But yeah, but thank you, Renegade Hero. We should be fine.
Yeah,
That's
South
scary.
Kakalaki appears to be the
Yeah.
getting the brunt of it.
Yeah, Charleston and Wilmington and all that. They're the ones that are kind of hauling ass.
Yep.
Slasher in Suits asked me if I was in the wasn't I in the Army? Because in the military, you got a lot of freaking drinkers. I was in the Air Force, and yeah, just like the Army and the Air Force, oh my God, yeah, a lot of drink, especially when you're like deployed. Oh, well, some deployments you can't drink at all, actually. But then if you can drink, oh my God, everybody gets shit faced, and especially in like Korea. Oh wow, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but
You've already said too much.
I've already said way too much at this point. But yeah,
John Kyle
They-
Stan.
go ahead, CP.
Thank you. Basket Case, good childhood horror.
Never
I
seen
feel
it.
so ashamed. I've never seen Basket Case. That's Peter Jackson, right?
No,
I don't
that's
think
that's
so.
that's
Brain
Alive.
Dead. Brain Dead. That's Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I was at Spooky Empire like last April, and they had all these vendors, merch, the merch counters, and they had a lot of those Arrow Blu-rays, and one of them was Basket Case, and I came so close to buying it because I'm a sucker for Arrows. You know, everything they put into their releases is just amazing.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm gonna go again next month though, so maybe I'll pick it up then. Yeah, Dino says it's a classic, so I definitely trust Dino. Yeah. Any other childhood horror guys before we move on to news? Because we got killer flicks topics we could jump into too.
Let's get to them.
Okay. We don't want to overstay our welcome, right? So first off, I've seen Candyman one time. I think back when it first came out.
Oh, you want to talk about scary? Like what Cody was talking about it before with Zelda. I'm right there with you, Cody. Zelda. But when Candyman spoke in Candyman, that creeped me the fuck out, man.
I love that dude's voice.
Yeah,
Oh,
Tony
Tony
Todd's got a
Todd,
great
when
voice.
he was Zoom on The Flash, that
Yeah.
entire season, like I would just close my eyes. I'm like, I'm so freaked out right now. I'm so freaked out.
He's in Hellfest too, which is coming out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he is.
Weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out because I think Scream Factory's got a Candyman coming out in October or November, but I've never seen it, and I've heard that ever since I've gotten the Friday the 13th movies out of the way, that's the next that's the new biggest comment is you should do Candyman.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the sequels are any good, but
Yeah.
I've the first no okay, so but the first one it's always intrigued me, the look of the character.
Leprechaun 4.
The main actress from Candyman, Virginia
Madsen.
something.
Virginia
Yeah,
Madsen. I know her.
I loved her when I was younger.
God.
Like I wanted her haircut.
Yes, I love.
Are you gonna be
Virginia
okay,
Madsen.
CP?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just I'm just dying. Don't mind me.
Oh well, in that case.
I had
So-
a big old crush on Virginia Madsen. Oh my
Oh,
god.
Yeah,
Christ,
she
Vicky,
was
you were that
beautiful
young?
in that movie.
Beautiful,
And I mean, we're segueing into a possible remake, right?
Right? Yeah. Because Jordan Peele, who directed Get Out and wrote Get Out, actually, he's He's in talks to do it.
Producing.
He's
not
he's
writing,
not directing it?
Not directing. No.
See, that's why I brought you here, CP. You're up to par on the news.
Yeah, all the technical stuff coming
the
from it.
Dutch angles and shit.
Yeah.
He's going to try to get a dolly zoom shot in that film.
Oh, sorry, I just have to answer Chris here in the chat. Says, you're thinking of Saw Dude, Lindsay? No. That was the next season.
Tobin Bell?
That was the next season on The Flash. That's no. Tony Todd was Zoom.
Tony Todd.
Yeah.
That I don't know.
I'm right.
The whole thing about him not directing, that kind of makes it a moot point to even talk about it, because I don't even know, like, what is his producer credits?
Yeah.
Has he done anything? Is it just because he's the big name now, produced by the director of Get Out? I mean, like, if he was directing it, that would be interesting, because I don't obviously I haven't seen the movie, but I'm assuming because of the era, I know it's like he gets murdered. Is it because of a race thing? Like,
I don't remember.
Like, what's his backstory?
He falls in love with a woman, but she's like out of his
race.
Yeah, and like, and standard, like, because like he's poor and she's like of like a wealthy family and that sort of thing, and then like the townsfolk kind of take their pitchforks and
that whole thing right there. That would make me interested if he was directing it, because you could get into the some of the issues that obviously he was going for with Get Out, with Candyman, with them. I don't know if it's gonna be modern or if he's gonna go back to the time period that Candyman the original was in or what, but that would interest me a lot more now that it's just produced. Though it's just kind of like there's a Candyman remake possibly coming, and shit, I could have probably guessed that.
They try to like delve more into like Candyman's original story in some of the sequels, but it's really hard to follow in the sequels. But I think, because I'm open to remakes, I'm fine with them. But with Candyman, I don't think that it's the same thing with Robert Englund. I don't think you can recapture what Tony Todd did in that role.
You guys got me really wanting to watch Candyman now. I've seen a lot of talk about it in the chat.
Have you not seen it, really?
Like I said, I saw it like in the 90s. It came out in like 92 or something like that.
91, 92, yeah.
Yeah.
I watched it like a month ago for like the 40th time, probably, at least.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
It's actually on my Patreon list too, so I'm actually due to review it here within the next couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to it, and I didn't even know Cody's supposed to review it here pretty soon. So
here we are talking about Get Out. Shout out to Bryan Lomax. We miss you, Bryan.
We miss you, Bryan. You're in our prayers, buddy.
Alonzo Smith says Candyman was Daniel Robitaille. He was a slave in the 1800s that fell in love with a white woman. Her father had him killed and his hand sawed off.
Very good.
Well, there you go.
Thank you.
Now, isn't it also based on the Bloody Mirror urban legend?
Yeah.
You say like Mother Mary or something like that?
Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary, that's Mother Mary. I'm an idiot. Mother Mayhem.
Mother Mayhem.
See, I got it mixed.
Mother Mayhem.
And I hear.
It's weird. I say Mother Mayhem in front of the mirror 3 times every night and nothing ever happens.
I hear you. I just don't care.
You're just like, fuck you, I don't care.
Yeah. No, and like there's actually probably 2 or 3 streams now that I've done like Candyman or Bloody Mary, and nothing ever happens.
I will say this though, since we're talking about urban legends, I'm scared to do it. Like honestly, I've never stood in front of a mirror and said Bloody Mary 3 times. Like I won't do it.
Candyman's 5 times, isn't it? I believe.
Maybe.
No, that's don't think it, don't say it.
Have you guys ever done that though?
3.
Have you ever did the Bloody Mary?
I think Candyman's 5 times.
Is it 5? So then.
Or is it Bloody Mary
17.
5 times and Candyman's 3?
Candyman's 5 times, because I remember
seeing
a scene with the sequel.
You shoot yourself in the head.
Bye Bye Man, you don't say it at all. You say it once, you're fucked.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, is it? Is it that?
Yeah.
Did you say
you
it
just
once?
Have to think it.
I still haven't seen it. Bye Bye Man.
Yeah, you're tell me what you want to do with the 90 minutes, and I'll tell you what you should be doing with that 90 minutes.
Anything. Sleep.
I want to play
slowly
with CGI.
sip on a fucking monster.
Do you have a cheese grater? Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead and graze yourself in the nether region with that for 90 minutes.
Exactly.
Sweet. Brian 520, we did talk about The Thing earlier. So if you on the replay, you'll hear some Thing talk. I think we always talk about The Thing. That's freaking classic.
Yeah.
I did a book report on The Thing, actually. Book report? I did, yeah. Well, I took a public speaking class. I still haven't passed. No, I'm just kidding. Back in the 2005, I was
Early
trying to,
1900s.
Yeah, early 1900s. We'll just say that.
In the aughts.
But they said you could do your report on anything, and I said, "Ooh, on The Thing." And so I talked about John Carpenter, and I talked about The Thing, and how in the reviews they were saying that at the time when it came out, people were saying it was like the worst horror movie of all time, and some people were saying it was like so grotesque that it should be banned. And here today, like, nobody would ever say that about The Thing. It's kind of funny how the times are so different now than they were like in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you laugh. I used to be a sneaky bastard when it came to like book reports and shit like that. I actually got an A on a Gothic era project in 10th grade where we had people that were doing extravagant shit. We had 2 girls that made an entire Gothic era meal, like a bunch of pies. They brought it all in, like hours of work. We had somebody build like a 5th scale castle to like specifications of that era and everything. I waited till the last fucking minute, didn't know what I wanted to do, so I brought in my guitar tablature book of Ride of the Lightning, and I read the Call of Cthulhu, or I played Call of Cthulhu.
Oh my god!
And it explained how it like expressed the Lovecraftian era and stuff like that. A+.
What?
How in the fuck did you bullshit your way out of that one? That's great.
You were sleeping with that teacher, weren't you?
Yeah, I think that's what you got the A+ for.
No.
And Lee was the teacher.
She wrote it on the board. A++++, like Christmas Story. Name drop. So yeah, Candyman's. They're gonna. Do you even want a reboot of Candyman though? And do you want anybody other than Tony Todd to play him? Because Tony Todd could still play the guy, right?
Ooh, good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, he definitely could.
Yeah, I mean, he still looks the same, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's going to be in Hellfest, which was written by the guy who wrote Leatherface, right?
Gory's cousin.
Gory's cousin, yeah. So, keeping it in the family.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's funny.
Do you consider Predators a reboot?
It tries to be in the 3rd act.
It's like a soft reboot, I guess, but not really. It's kind of like what
See, if
Evil
they-
Dead is.
If they did something like that, then sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? No? Yeah.
Maybe.
People use that term so loosely these days anyway. Like, if something comes out like 20 years later, they call it a reboot. It's even though it might not even be a reboot. Like, if some people might even call the new Halloween movie that's coming out, we're rebooting the franchise, even though this is a sequel.
Well, it is.
I view it like this. A reboot is a movie that it's either a sequel or a remake or a revisiting of that franchise that's meant to rejuvenate the franchise. It's meant to get it back on track or to recapture the power it had back in the day. A remake, to me, is strictly if you were taking a movie that already exists and doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
like a reboot, it means that like in this new movie, the previous films are like it's canon.
Yeah.
So like even when like certain Friday the 13th, like part 8, like I'm trying to think of how many years we're in between them here, but like even like 2 or 3 years in between a film, they would be like, oh, they're rebooting this franchise.
Well, let me ask you this now. What do you think about this? When they take the name...
Don't make that face, CP.
When they take the name, but they don't actually tell the same story, that pisses me off. Like what they did with Prom Night. Like all they did was take the idea of Prom Night, but they never, or the prom, but the story is 100% a completely different story than the original, and so they're banking off of the name. Does that bother you guys at all? Because I got pissed off at that movie because of that.
It depends. If Prom Night was great, we probably wouldn't bitch. But it's when they do it shitty. It's just they do it just to bank off of the name.
See, but I enjoyed that movie. It's another one of like my guilty pleasures.
In defense of.
Sure you did.
Well, but I love like teen slasher movies, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's just it's my thing. But the thing is that if they had called it by a different name, like God knows somebody would have said, "Oh, they're ripping off."
I fucking hate that movie.
Like, whichever, right? But then if they kept it the exact same storyline, they're like, "Well, what's the point of making it?" Like, oh, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, fact feature. He brought up something that I would definitely want to bring up, but I didn't want to cut you off, Lindsay. He was talking. He was talking about.
Sometimes you gotta.
Yeah. He was talking about, apart from Lee, has anybody seen Terrifier? And the reason I wanted to bring that up was because just today, I'm getting a lot of views on Terrifier because it's on Netflix now, and so I'm getting a lot of comments, and every comment is like a negative comment because I made one statement. All right, and you guys might even say I'm wrong. Okay, but
Lindsay, you have spare tampons for this guy, or
yeah, I need them. All I said was, and I don't remember verbatim what I said, but I said something to the effect that it has torture porn remnants to it. It's not. I didn't say it's straight up torture porn. I said this has torture porn elements. For some reason, people thought I called that movie a Disney film or something. And
what?
People are like going crazy because I called Terrifier, like I said that it had torture porn elements. Am I wrong, Cody? And tell me if I'm wrong.
No, because the scene, it's been out long enough.
Yeah.
The scene, the kill scene that everybody talks about, where the chick gets sawed in half.
Yeah.
That
from clam to chin. Do you mean? Is that?
Yes.
That's stuff out of Hostel. They would do shit like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not so much that it's out of Hostel. It's the way that it's shot. It's the way that the whole kill lingers. It's the way that they make you lean on every fucking cut the whole way down, and even when it's down at the bottom, it goes for like another 30 seconds right there on her chin. It's the way that it's so gratuitous to the extreme that it does have torture porn elements. Because to me, that's what a
straight up torture porn movie.
Yeah, well, to me, torture porn is not just like, if they torture somebody, it's a torture porn. Torture porn to me is where the movie is gratuitous to the extreme that it just wants to gross you out with the kills, or it wants to lean on the nastiness or the gore for so long.
And it wasn't a quick kill. I mean, she suffered for a good, what? I mean, he's freaking sawing her in half. So I guarantee that
like
lasted
2 minutes
for a while. That's torture, right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
Wouldn't you call that carnage candy though, Cody?
Yeah,
for sure.
It's like a Venn diagram. It's in the middle.
But I guess my point is, people get so bent out of shape on subgenres titles. Like, you called this a slasher. That's not a slasher. That's a home invasion. And this guy actually said that I'm not a qualified horror reviewer because I said that. How dare you say
those.
something? Yeah,
actually
too. Those are great.
Yeah, my favorites. That you're not a true Friday the 13th fan because of you're not a true Halloween fan because of your ranking. I'm like, bitch, please.
Yeah.
You didn't see this, and when you were 5, you're not a true fan. Fuck you.
Lindsay, am I wrong? I want to hear your opinion on this.
She hasn't seen
it. Well, come on. Like, if I'm going to be throwing in some sort of movie, do you think that Terrifier is going to be on the top of that list? Or do you think I'm going to be leaning towards watching A Quiet Place?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or
there's people that love
Terrifier.
Shade?
Is that sideways shade right there? What is that?
What?
Huh?
There
Go
are people that love Terrifier though. Like, some people have even put it in their top 10 of the year.
I enjoy. I need to rewatch it.
I want to rewatch it. I do,
but I did enjoy it quite a bit because it does have that classic kind of 80s slasher appeal to it. Because it's not really. It's very light on story. It's very light on characters. It's just about, look how fucking creepy this clown is, and look how insane he is, and look at all the shit that he can do. That's basically what the movie's about. And if you're along for that ride, it'll hit all those nostalgia notes, and it kind of is like a throwback movie. And you're like, I could see more of these. And it goes. It's gory to the point where it's kind of a breath of fresh air to a degree, because we don't see gore like that very often anymore. So I enjoyed it. There was issues that I had with it. I need to review it, but there was some issues I had with it.
Did you enjoy All Hallows Eve?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, because I didn't like that one. So I felt like I wasn't going to like a movie based on the, I don't know. People say he's the best part of All Hallows Eve, and I still thought that it was kind of like meh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to its credit, it hasn't left my head, and I think that's a good thing for a horror movie to do, because most of them, you see them, they're gone, and then you move on to the next one. Terrifier is still there, and maybe it's because of that scene, but Art definitely has something to him. And thinking back, maybe I was a little bit hard on it when I watched it, because it does bring some cool elements to the horror table. So.
Yeah, well, it doesn't pull any punches either. I mean, even beyond that one scene, there's a lot of other fucked up shit that happens in that movie.
I'd rather have that than the opposite. That watered down PG-13 bullshit that we get so much of today. I'll take Terrifier 10 times over that.
Ice cream truck.
Next topic.
But another
How about
element
them
that I like
fucking
about
Cubs?
Yeah. Another element that I like about it too is that another callback to kind of the 80s slasher genre. Art the Clown 2 kind of has that, he kind of toes that line of, is he human, is he supernatural? Because there's a little bit of both in there. So
Yeah,
it's,
for sure.
I like that element of it too. I need to review it.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it again, like real, and it's on Netflix now, so I guess I could.
Yeah.
Chris actually in the chat just mentioned hello, like Prom Night, because we were talking about Prom Night. I actually like the sequel because they went a completely different direction, even like subgenre wise. Like the first one's like a slasher, the second one is more like a demon ghost type movie. Which
but that whole scene with the rocking chair like actually makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's a pretty creepy scene.
It's very weird.
Yeah, I dug that one, and I like the locker room scene too.
You would.
I haven't seen it in years, but I remember watching that one before I saw the original. I remember seeing the chick get set on fire. I remember the scene where the lockers like go together.
Yeah, that's a cool scene.
And that's about all I remember.
I actually bought the third one on DVD because I want to watch that one and review it. But I've heard don't watch. Did my voice crack? I've heard don't watch the DVD. I've heard don't watch the DVD. I've heard pick up the VHS because that's the uncut version. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Isn't it on YouTube though? I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. I think that's where I
probably
watched
is.
it.
Yeah, and I think it is the
say
VHS
that.
version. All over the place.
That got awkward.
I know. Locker room scene. Yeah. But okay. So let's move on to Predator, and we're not going to talk about the new movie because I haven't seen it. CP's seen it. Yeah.
No, I haven't. I was supposed to see it last night, but
If you guys want to talk about it, I can go get another beer.
something
No,
came up.
none of us have seen it. So
Right.
Oh,
Bryan has, oddly enough.
still kind of want to
on.
go get another beer.
I did watch Predator
Go get you a
and
beer.
Predators to
Yeah.
prep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have Predator 2.
Ugh.
So, yeah,
that's a movie that's debated a lot. Predator.
I
2.
don't.
This
I don't
is-
like it
I was-
that much. It's
I
my
was-
least favorite Predator.
Oh, by far. Yeah, I watched the first half of it the other night because I just reviewed Predator with Durbin from Durbania. That was a lot of fun. I've always loved that movie. I need to revisit Predators because I remember liking some aspects of it and I remember really hating some aspects of it. So I need to watch that tonight.
That's
Probably
The
gonna
good
do that
really
now.
is good.
Yeah, I remember hating Adrian Brody, and I remember hating the way that they try to recreate the third act of the first movie. But I need to watch it again.
Come
I'll
on,
do
I'm
that.
here.
Yeah, kill me. Come on.
me.
Well, Adrian Brody was pretty much trying to be Batman.
Yeah.
Oh God.
He
Horrible
talks
mix.
like this.
But Predator 2,
Where were the
I was
Predators?
I was talking with a couple of
piano.
I was talking with a couple of buddies of mine about Predator 2. I watched about the first half of it, and it's funny to me how when a movie feels totally 70s or it feels totally 80s, that's cool. You know, it has this coolness to it.
Yeah.
It has this nostalgia to it. You watch a movie like Predator 2 that feels so 90s, and that's not cool.
I love
at
that
all.
about it,
Like,
though,
it's-
actually.
I grew up in the 90s, and when you have a movie like that, it's so 90s. You're
I love
like,
90s
ugh.
movies.
Oh, I love 90s movies. Trust me. There's a difference. But when a movie like that, it's just like, the aesthetic of it is like 90s TV, and there's a weirdness there.
Yeah, that opening
we're
is
not-
just a little too much too.
Yeah, we haven't quite gotten
I like
to that point
opening,
where
actually.
the 90s is that cool nostalgia yet.
You know what? Here's my thing with Predator 2. I think I like it because I like that they said, okay, we've done the jungle thing. Let's put it in the city and let's make it look like everybody's on cocaine. Because that's pretty much what it's like. It's like everybody, including the cops, including like Bill Paxton, everybody seems like they're high as a fucking kite throughout that whole movie, but in the best way. Even Danny Glover, like everybody just takes their performance and they ratcheted it up like another 10 notches. And it's, I guess everybody's Gary Busey in the movie. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Touche. But yeah, I even, I still like the first Alien versus Predator quite a bit. I don't revisit it very often, but the first one I have a lot of fun with. The second one, I can't even, there's not a whole lot to judge because you can't see the fucking movie.
Yeah,
But
you
the
can't.
first
You're
one,
right about that.
But especially the Predator in the first Alien versus Predator is pretty badass. So yeah, I've always loved the character. I'm looking forward to this movie. The reception's been a little here and there, but I'm a Shane Black fanatic, so I'm hoping that what I know and love about Shane Black is going to be there.
You know, Alien vs. Predator Requiem is an interesting one because it seems like it wanted to add that whole... Like, there is like a 90s horror element to that movie or something. Or maybe like a millennium horror element to it because you got the younger characters and the pool scene and all that stuff. And then you throw a Predator in there, so it's... And an Alien. It's kind of weird. And then you got the pregnancy scene, which is kind of all over the place. My voice cracked again. God damn it.
Actually, it tries to ramp up and be a hard R rating again, and that's what when I first watched it, that was the element that I was like, oh, cool. So it's gory as fuck. But that's.
You know, I was actually gonna I don't know if you'd call it a fan edit because I'm not gonna change anything, but I was actually gonna try to boost the color balance on that, just so I could watch it like it's supposed to be watched, or because I actually do like the movie, and I know I'll get punched for this, but I like it better than the first one, just because it's rated R, because it's bloody, it's crazy. They have a little bit of an Aliens vibe near the end. Even the main actress looks kind of like Ripley. So, yeah, I enjoy it. He even says, get to the chopper. He says, get to the fucking chopper. Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm hoping that... I'm hoping it's not in this new Predator movie. I hate the whole thing, the get to the chopper or one ugly motherfucker. They try to die hard. A couple of Arnie's one-liners, like it has to be said every movie to check a little box, and I hate it every time that anybody. It's somewhat entertaining when Danny Glover says it. But everything after that, it's like, stop using that fucking line. So I hope that Keenan, or, fucking Key and Peele aren't going to be saying, get to the chopper or some shit like that in this new one. I hope that I'm going to roll my eyes hard.
Okay, my next question is for Lindsay. And I'm going to guess, all right? So don't tell me. I think Lindsay likes the Underworld series. I don't know. Before Lindsay answers, CP, what do you think? Do you think Lindsay likes Underworld?
I bet you she hasn't seen at least half of them.
Cody?
I'm going to go with no.
All right, so I say yes. CP's like, what the fuck's going on? Cody says no. Lindsay, go ahead.
I really hate to fucking say this, but Cody Leach is right.
Oh!
You don't like him?
No.
Not even the first
I
one?
love Kate Beckinsale. I think that she's great, but
she's great as Celine.
and I would love to cosplay as her or something, because that outfit is amazing. But there's nothing that really ever pulled me in. When I watch vampire action films, my go-to are Blade.
Yeah.
That's it. And the whole werewolf thing, it didn't interest me whatsoever. Nothing pulled me in for that series. Maybe I should give them a try again, but no, I'm not a fangirl for them.
I really like I guess I can say I like the first three, because there's a good continuing story going on there with the first two, and then the third's a prequel, which I actually really dig the third one. I mean, they all have their faults, but everything after the third one though is pretty rough.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah,
How many is there?
5.
5?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I seriously only thought there was 3.
I love the first two. A lot of people shit on the second one. I actually think the second one's the best one. But the first the first one has so much lore and mythology to it that it's awesome. All the ways that the vampires kind of swap out leaders and everything. That shit's awesome. The action still holds up quite a bit. Really, the only negative I ever had with the first one was that they build up this huge deal about what Scott Speedman's going to turn into, and by the end of the movie, he just turns into Scott Speedman in blue. Yeah. So that's the only thing.
And he does that lashing move over and over. Yeah.
And he gets his ass kicked by Victor. I mean, the only reason that he didn't get fucking
Victor
killed in the first
was
movie was
the big saving grace of that dude is an awesome actor.
So I love the first one for that. The second one's a little bit more action and a lot bigger budget, bigger monsters. Yeah, I love the second one. The third one I like quite a bit, but not quite on the level of the first two, just because it runs into the same problem with Requiem. It's a very dark movie to where a lot of shit you can't see, and it is
a dark movie, yeah.
Prequels always have that little bit. I mean, there's some exceptions, but prequels always have a little bit of diminishing returns for me because you always know where things are going to end. So you always kind of know the story before you start it. But the fourth one, I was pissed by the time I watched that one because the whole movie is where's Scott Speedman, and then it ends with Scott Speedman might be in the next movie, and then fucking Blood Wars. Jesus, don't even get me started on that one.
Blood snores.
I actually liked Blood Wars when I first saw it, and then I watched it again. I was like, "What the fuck was I thinking?"
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you watched the Blu-ray. You're like, I can't even finish this fucking movie.
I know it's bad. But I think the thing with Underworld that like separated it from other vampire movies for me anyway was I actually dug the story that they were going with. How the 3 head vampires leapfrog through time every 100 years. They had a pretty interesting story going there. So then it got out of hand, I guess. But yeah.
And I'm a fan of Len Wiseman's movies. He gets a lot of shit, but I like those. I actually, it's not on the level of the original, but I enjoy his Total Recall movie. I love Live Free or Die Hard if you watch the rated R version, and he's going to be supposedly doing this new one, so that gives me the only little bit of faith I have in it. So I dig that guy's movies.
John Kyle Stanton, Lindsay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just answered him. It'll be a lot, John.
A lot, John.
Yeah.
Gonna need a keg.
Yeah, keg stands.
I'll tell you what, Lindsay, we'll all dress up in leather for the next Scream Stream.
I can't promise I'm not going to use a cucumber because
you'll have leather shorts.
This is going to be the creepiest looking Cenobite bunch I've ever seen.
I'll have a Gimp mask on. Zed's dead. Okay, let's Okay, so I guess Kate Beckinsale's saying that they're done with that. She won't do Underworld again. So, for those who give a shit, do you think that they'll continue without, like they did with Rise of the Lycans, CP?
I think for the sake of mainstream vampire movies, they need to cleanse the whole Twilight saga. Like something, just do something to redirect mainstream vampire movies. I mean, if it has to be some sort of, whether it be retelling Bram Stoker's Dracula, whether it be rejuvenating Underworld, whether it be redoing Lost Boys, just something to make vampires scary again. Like
yeah, because the vampire was one of the first things. I guess jumping back to childhood horror, the vampire was one of the first things that scared me as a kid. I remember watching
Salem's Lot.
Not Salem's Lot. I was watching Dark Shadows when I was a kid, just a little bit of it, and I remember it freaking me out. I was really young at the time. It probably wouldn't be scary to me now, but there is something scary about vampires.
What was it like seeing Nosferatu when it came out?
Quiet.
Very quiet. Yeah, I didn't. I saw it in color. I was on set when they were doing it.
Yeah, I hope they don't fucking try to continue it. Like, you need to let it lay for a little bit and then try to redo it. You can reboot that movie and have I think you could do it again and learn from your mistakes and try to recapture what the first one was going for that maybe didn't land with quite everybody. But I don't want to see, Underworld and then it's about her daughter played by
God, leave that alone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got that whole leapfrogging through time, 100 years. So there's a lot of windows of opportunity there to tell a story if they wanted to. So
they haven't told a story in like 3 fucking movies though. So
I know it's been about how badass Celine is as a character.
Yeah, look at this new power she's got.
She's fucking awesome.
She's fucking hot in leather.
Yeah,
not really. But
fat guys in basements.
Yeah, but I agree with CP. It's been long enough. The stench is starting to kind of dissipate. We need some more vampire movies. We need. I think
want a good scary vampire movie because we went through that whole Twilight phase. Yeah, bring back. I was actually just thinking about that last week. Like, what if they got Wesley Snipes to come back as Blade? Because they
need to.
He could do it.
Yeah, he can. Have you guys seen Stakeland or Stakeland 2?
No, I haven't.
I saw the first one.
I think they've been on Netflix for a long fucking time. I would encourage you to check those out because those are pretty badass. And
I watched the first one right after it came out because Danielle Harris, but I didn't remember being wowed.
She is in it. Yeah. I liked it a lot because it's like brutal, old school, gory, scary vampires.
Like From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's like the opening scene is a kid walking into his barn or his garage because he hears some screaming or whatever, and it kind of pans up to the rafters, and a vampire is sucking the blood out of his infant sister and just drops it.
Damn.
And like it goes for it. So it's pretty awesome.
Cody,
I mean,
that's a tilt up, not a pan up.
Yeah, it's a,
See, there we go.
Just want to be
that's a
technical
Dutch
here.
angle.
let me tilt this. Let me pan down.
Yeah.
Too far.
Was that your
back
finger?
up.
Because
It's just a Coke bottle.
Go back. There's a joke in there somewhere. I'm trying to find it. Did we talk about Lost Boys?
Yes.
Okay. Just briefly, right?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, redo that.
There's so many good one-liners in that movie. Like every single time I see my mom's youngest sister, every time I see her, she quotes that movie.
Yeah.
What, Nosferatu?
Quote that movie.
Yeah.
You know, people were really black and white back then.
What was it like coming into
I saw
color?
it.
Amstel 54, does John Carpenter's vampires suck? I might be the only one that says this, but no, it is awesome.
I
don't
love that
remember
movie.
I don't remember it at all.
I've always loved
I
it.
got the
Like
VHS
James Woods is a badass character. Again, brutal, scary vampires. It's basically about a team of vampire hunters that fucked with the wrong vampire. He wipes basically all of them out except for James Woods and one of the Baldwin brothers, and they have to save the day without their team. So it's to me, that's the last great John Carpenter film.
Okay. I need to watch it again. I haven't seen it in ages.
I love it. It's a good time though. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
you can't, because there's like the one-liners and stuff like that. Like you can't take too much seriously.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
it's so much fun.
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys want to jump into some Killer Flicks questions or topics?
Yeah,
Sure.
let's do that.
Okay. I'll start with and a lot of these are talking about our childhood, I guess, with horror. But Blake Gardner, who's an awesome dude, by the way. He says
Is he one of your closest friends?
yeah, my good buddy. CP gives me crap for that.
I know.
I know. I saw the roast. I make it through 2 minutes of the roast and then I throw my computer, but fuck you, CP. He says, did the first horror film you encountered, I actually watched the whole thing. I love CP's roast. Did the first horror film that you encountered get you hooked on horror from the beginning, or were you so freaked out that it took a bit before you came around? I guess anybody in here, did you like not gravitate towards horror immediately after seeing your first movie, or did we all just pretty much stay on the horror train? I did.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I probably watched more horror as a adolescent than
Yeah.
I do now, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I had the time then.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't like full blown horror until probably my teens. So I guess I'm the only one that could say that. I guess.
Once Sylvester Stallone stopped making movies,
Yeah.
you found time to watch some more
That's
horror.
right.
When Rocky V came out, I was like, fuck this. I'm
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I
Rocky
need
V
something
was
else.
a horror movie. God damn, that movie's bad. Okay, let's see. The first horror film you saw on the big screen. That's a good one. What was the first horror film you saw on the big screen? I'll go to Lindsay first.
I Know What You Did Last Summer? Was that like 1997 or 98 or something like that?
God, how young are you?
I know.
Wow.
What?
What?
How young are you?
I was in grade 7 or 8, I think, when that one came out.
That was the first time you saw a horror movie in the theaters was when you were 8 years old?
Yeah. My
Oh my
mom didn't
God.
take us to the movies very often. My dad used to take
Oh,
us to the
oh.
movies when she
Fair
wouldn't
enough.
know. But mostly he took us to see like little kid movies because my dad wasn't into horror. So the first horror movie I remember going to see in theaters was I Know What You Did Last Summer and then Urban Legends for my 14th birthday.
That's-
Do you like 90s horror movies?
I really do.
Scream?
that's just
I'm out.
That's just
Deep cut.
God damn, that Wes Craven's awesome. CP,
Yo,
what was your first horror film that you saw on the big screen?
Pet Cemetery.
Oh, shit.
And holy fuck to be 8 years old and watch
Yeah,
that movie.
holy
It's-
Did you just take a selfie?
No, I'm trying. My fucking camera thing won't.
Liar.
Yeah, he took a selfie.
Yeah, stream.
Check out these lips.
I'm live streaming the live
just
stream.
lounging.
Amanda from Aesthetic Star said her first was Freddy's Dead. That poor girl.
Oh my god.
Actually, I think she likes Freddy's Dead, though. Am I right on that,
That'll
Amanda?
turn somebody off the franchise.
Oh
Let us know.
god.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Cody,
A lot of
what
people saying
was your first?
I'm trying to remember it. I guarantee I saw one before this because I was 6 when I saw this movie. But the first movie theater experience that I can remember seeing a horror movie was From Dusk Till Dawn, and I remember because my dad sold it as this badass little vampire movie we're gonna go check out. And after the movie gets started, the whole fucking movie, he's like, "Oh my god, don't." I mean, whenever you get to the fucking scene, whenever Juliette Lewis is like, will you eat my pussy for me? My dad was like, what the fuck? And like, I'm like 6 years old, and he's like looking around. Everybody's looking at him like, why'd you bring him? So I remember that one vividly because I was frustrated because 2/3 of the movie my dad was like blocking me out.
Yeah, that's not a good movie for the P word.
Yeah. So,
Cheech Marin alone.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
Jason from
That's
Sinister
what I'm saying.
Cinema Reviews. What's up, brother? He said he's actually about to watch The Predator now. So
Cool.
I'm going to see that tomorrow. So,
But
yeah.
Hellraiser Bloodline came out the same year, so I don't remember if I saw that one beforehand or not, but I don't remember much about that theater experience. But I guarantee my dad took me to the movies all the time because it was just me and him, so he kind of had to.
Yeah.
So I guarantee there was something I saw before that, but that's the first one I remember was From Dusk Till Dawn.
I think my first one was Psycho 3. That drive it. I was snuck in the trunk for my sister and her date. They put me in the trunk, and we went into the drive-in and we watched Psycho 3. So I think Psycho that was 86. So I think Psycho 3 might be my first.
When did New Nightmare come out?
92, 93.
That was the first one I saw then, or at least earlier. Yeah, I remember vividly seeing New Nightmare on the screen because it came out the same weekend as The Shadow, or not The Shadow, the fucking something else like that. But I remember there was a superhero movie that looked weird, and there was Freddy, and I was like, we gotta go. And I remember I was like, come on, please, please, please. I was begging.
Yeah.
So I remember I saw that one in the theater.
Now I did see. Actually, this might be I did see Dream Warriors in the theater pretty early on. That was awesome too, by the way. Freaking Cody be jealous, man. Everybody was freaking out, like especially when Freddy looks like a penis, and and Heather or Nancy comes in, and then he goes, "You." I remember the theater just like everybody was like, "Oh shit, this is gonna be awesome." So yeah, that was such a cool experience. Yeah, man, a lot of good '80s experiences in the theater. So
I wouldn't know.
Sorry guys. Yeah, sorry guys. I'll just bask in that alone.
Jason wants to know what's a romance and horror that worked for you.
Romance and horror.
Return of the Living Dead 3.
That was my answer. Damn it.
Kurt and Julie. They're the Romeo and Juliet
I
of
love
the
that movie.
zombie genre.
That's one of the few like romance movies that I freaking love. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so good. So that's my answer too. What about you guys?
Yeah. Beat you to it.
Yep. Damn you.
Go ahead, CP. I gotta research my answer really quick because I have a good one. I don't want to get the names
romance and horror?
Yeah, go for it. Warm Bodies.
I'm
I'm
drawing a blank, to be honest with you. Romance and horror, Tommy and Megan.
Laying in the lap.
I'm surprised.
It's gonna be a real hair turn.
I'm surprised Lee or Lindsay didn't say Jesse and Ron from Freddy's Revenge.
I was going to say Deborah and Ronnie from
Jesse
Rob
and
Zombie's
Grady.
Halloween.
Yeah, that's it, Grady.
Bitch, I will come over there and skull fuck the shit out of you.
There you go.
A marriage made.
Sweeter words have never been spoken.
Michael and Starr in the Lost Boys works. Similar genre. When you, Near Dark. May, and I forget the main character's name.
Yeah.
But
the
that's
saxophone player and his saxophone in the Lost Boys.
Yeah. There you go.
Lindsay, to be that saxophone, right?
To be the oil on his chest. Never mind the saxophone.
You know what, guys? I still believe. I don't know about you guys. I do, though.
Oh, yeah. Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese.
Oh, there you go. That's a great answer. That might trump
American Werewolf. That's romance.
Yeah, that's a great one too. I had a big old crush on the nurse from American Werewolf in London. That's her heart.
Probably, and then that shower scene.
Foster mom from Child's Play 2.
She's also in what's that movie with fuck. She was in
very descriptive.
Logan's Run. She was in Logan's Run.
Child's Play 2. She was the mother.
Oh, I went backwards. You went forwards.
Oh,
she's
sorry.
hot. She's hot or younger.
I always move forward, CP. I don't go back.
He likes them old.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, sorry.
Old and regretful.
Like Rose,
Throwing caution to the wind.
Rose from Titanic, the older version. That's my style. It's been 84
Still a
years.
little young.
Oh.
She's a little young for you, bruh.
Yeah, I know. Robbing the cradle, right?
Lee, what was it like on the Titanic?
I don't know. I freaking sunk the goddamn thing.
My face hurts.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Let me go to another Killer Flicks question. That was a good question, though. I like that one. Let's see. Brandon Tabato. Here we go. He always gives good questions. Does nostalgia blind us? My voice cracked again. Do we continue to cherish and revere the horror films we grew up loving just because of nostalgia, or is there something more to it? I guess for me, nostalgia is a big thing, but if I watch it today, I'm not blind to it. I'm not blind to it. You know, I usually notice if a movie's like aged really bad. And I think there was a movie I watched recently tue that I haven't seen in ages.
Sometimes that's only 12 hours.
It could be 13 hours. I'm gonna go stare out a window.
Stare at a boo ball?
Yeah, boo ball.
Oh man.
CP, please pull me out of this freaking madness. Go ahead.
Yeah,
CP.
I mean, I think it does. To a certain degree, you go back and watch something, and it like we were talking about The Gate before. The Gate, I watched pretty heavily as a kid. It just doesn't hold up, as an adult, and you kind of take a step back and say, what the fuck was going on? Like you have these childish. I don't know. You put things on a pedestal because you enjoy it so much, and you just don't enjoy things the same way as an adult.
I guess King Kong 76 would be, not to cut you off, Cody, just real quick. I think King Kong 76 would be a good answer for me because there was a big gap before I watched that movie again. And the way that Kong looks in that movie is really silly now. Whereas back then it felt so real to me. So I guess that's my answer. Go ahead, Cody.
I have the perfect example. It 1990.
There you go. Boom. Tell him what he's won, John.
Because look, there even in my review, I acknowledge it because me and Lee did them at the same time. He was watching for the first time, so it was this weird little experiment where does the movie have the effect it has? When you grow up with it in the 90s, and Tim Curry's like the scariest, at least to me, was like the scariest thing that I had seen by that time. One of the only things that ever really affected me from a horror movie. And then you watch it in 2018 after watching the new movie, and like just on paper, objectively, there's no fucking comparison. The 2017 movie blows it out of the water in almost every single aspect, but nostalgia does blind me to that movie because even the second half, which is garbage, there except for when Tim Curry is on screen, it's garbage from start to finish. Or if you have a flashback to the kids. But I still will watch the 1990 It at least once a year, sometimes multiple times a year, and still love it, every single minute of it, because of nostalgia. The first half I still contend is very good, but the second half I will still watch and enjoy, regardless how shitty it is, because I grew up with it and because that nostalgia blinders are on there. And there's aspects of the 1990 It that I actually prefer to the 2017 that I would not be saying that if I didn't grow up with it.
I agree with that, actually. I like the first half, the children's portion. I think I actually like those kids better than I do the new movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. CP made a face. Lindsay?
I think that nostalgia isn't so much like blinding, but I think it's necessary because like when you first originally see these films, like they're pretty good quality when you see them.
Yeah.
So that's why we're able to still appreciate them.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the people who maybe are just coming into like the horror community, watching like the classics or movies that are recommended to them that are dated, they're not going to enjoy them as much because we've been spoiled so much with newer films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Completely.
I don't think that it's nostalgia so much blinding us. I think that it's like aiding us in appreciating a film when it didn't have those luxuries that we have now.
To piggyback what you're talking about, Lindsay, the fact that a lot of these movies that we like that are older they influence whatever filmmakers are doing stuff now. So for better or worse, some big film that was considered a big deal 20, 30 years ago, to some degree is influencing decisions that are being made today, even if it's just minute by certain.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine that I was trying to get. Actually, it was my buddy Durbin from Durbania. Whenever we were gearing up to review the Alien franchise, because we did a dual review on that whole franchise, and I was begging him. I was like, "Please watch Alien before you go see Life." And he didn't listen to me, and he saw Life first. And that's one of those examples where you watch Life and then you watch Alien. You're like, "What the fuck? Alien's ripping off Life," or at least your mind makes those connections where you're like, "This shit's exactly like that other movie." But yeah.
Your brain timeline is different, yeah.
Exactly, and you do like Lindsay was saying, some of it's necessary. Like going back to it, that allows me to put a lot more appreciation into what Tim Curry did, despite how great Skarsgård was, because Skarsgård has a lot of things helping him out nowadays, where Tim Curry basically had to do everything on his own. Be scary as fuck with this makeup. Go. That's all you get. Nowadays, you get CGI. You get, all the different things that he had aiding him, and it's just a different ballgame.
Ryan Bogardus, I thought this was an interesting one, and I think CP just did a stream on this too. He's about going to video stores as compared to digital.
Oh, with Cecil,
today. Yeah. You guys actually talked about that, so I mean, we could just touch on it. But I actually, when I lived in Georgia last year, I think they had like a video store that closed down, and I was able to go in there and kind of capture some footage before it closed down, and I did like a Drumdums drive for it. But I still like go back and watch that video just so I can see what that store looked like, because you don't see video stores that much anymore, and I miss them. I miss them a lot. I like that whole process,
Yeah.
I mean, are any of you guys like, I'm done with it, I can move on?
No.
Well, I mean, it's difficult, because that's another, we're talking about nostalgia. The nostalgic feeling of walking into a video store and having a wall of tapes, that was one of the biggest things back in the day. Whenever a cover on a VHS would sell you on the movie, you wouldn't have to look at anything else. Like Night Demons Part 2, I always remember that. Part 3, I always remember the cover of the movie. Didn't have to know shit about who was in it, didn't care, didn't know who directed it, didn't know the story, but that cover is fucking badass, and I want to check out the movie. Yeah. So that whole process is awesome to remember, but nowadays it really makes no sense to have it when you have Netflix, when you have Amazon Instant Video. I mean, like if somebody was like, "Hey, you should check out Night of the Living Dead Part 3," and you knew it was at the video store 20 minutes down the road, but it's also on Amazon Instant Video. I mean, which one are you gonna do?
There's pros and cons to both.
So. Yeah, but I really miss the experience, because I used to live walking distance from one in Ohio before I moved, and I used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
And just find something.
I think that's one reason why I love VHS so much. It's almost like I'm walking into my own little private video store, because it's, I have all these great covers. My favorite one is my I Spit on Your Grave cover. And that's not something...
Of course.
That's one I would always walk past and
way
say,
too much information about myself in this stream.
You're an ass man. We know that.
Yeah, we got a detective in the crew. Yeah.
Peeking cheeks.
Yeah. By the way, the rumor is, I read this somewhere, that because nobody knows exactly or for certain who that is, that model on the cover of I Spit on Your Grave. But the rumor is it's Demi Moore.
What?
Yes. That is the heavy rumor that that it's Demi Moore. And that cover was before Demi Moore's career took off. So
yeah.
So it could be. I mean, just look. I kind of stared at it for like 2 minutes one day. Like,
all big stars got their start in horror.
Yeah, he puts on like strip tees and he's like side comparing.
I was doing the Jesse dance to it.
Good question. Like, gee, do you think cover art is less important now? I miss the hell out of the aspect of video stores. Yeah, I think so, especially if you're VOD or something.
It still grabs me though. I'm not gonna lie.
People are more reading the descriptions now, though.
Yeah, people are more into checking out the reviews and stuff like that before they make a decision versus just checking out a cover and being like, "Oh, that looks cool." That's a scary clown.
It's opposite now, because it's like the rule now is the better the cover, the more badass the cover, the worse the movie. At least when it comes to horror, Because if you go to Walmart and you see those ridiculous looking B-movie horror covers, they're funny as hell, but they're like awesome looking. I don't know. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, I would say it's less important now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely not like what it was.
Unless you're Netflix, because apparently Netflix has been knocking it out of the park with their cover art.
Yeah,
they're doing a lot of. They're changing up their cover art quite a bit, actually.
Like The Babysitter, that was a good cover.
Yeah, that was a great cover, actually. But that's the thing. Like,
there's some.
Go ahead, Cody.
There's some exceptions, but nowadays studios are pretty lazy when it comes to cover arts and posters and shit like that too. Like you'll get the rare badass one, but a lot of times nowadays it's just actor's face and name of movie.
Especially straight to video.
I got one more question we'll do, and then we'll start closing up. I got Chris Fluff Bearholm, who we actually met each other at Spooky Empire last April, so I'm hoping to meet up with him again. Really nice guy, but he had a good question. How do you feel about horror movies where the people just have to survive, like Final Destination, as opposed to defeating the antagonist? Which I think is an interesting question, because in Final Destination, they're just trying to stay alive pretty much throughout the whole thing.
But you still have to defeat death.
That is true. That is a good point. There is still some kind of outcome. I don't know. Are there any movies where they're just trying to stay alive?
Cabin Fever.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no defeating anything there.
Yeah, it's a different kind of tension, because there's not a guy in a mask in the shadows. There's not somebody hiding in the closet. It's just you're against the elements, or you're against something that you're never going to escape. Like that's kind of what always was the appeal of Freddy was to me, is because even though Freddy's the guy in the mask, Freddy's kind of one of those things that eventually
the guy in the mask.
Or they got, you know.
Ooh. Actually,
does he put on the hot
Cody?
Well, they are running from Freddy, like, you know.
Wrong movie, honey.
Figure of speech, bitch. I'm kidding. But no, but that's always one of the appeals of Freddy to me, is he's kind of both, because he's the guy with the glove, or he's that natural thing that you can't escape. You can't escape sleep. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
What about the zombie genre? That's all.
Yeah, that's trying to stay alive, pretty much. I mean, you're not going to beat all the zombies. So.
Well, you can't.
Truth or
stand back.
Yeah.
Bitch, I will crawl up there and skull fuck the shit out of you.
Happy death?
I'm gonna break this arm and get right on your fucking face.
I can't get Ronnie lines out of my head after doing that review. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
I look forward to that review.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun. Wait till you get the negative comments. It's gonna be great.
Bring it.
Jesus.
Fucking bring it.
How dare you put down Rob Zombie's Halloween? It's a movie masterpiece.
I'll be like, bitch, watch my 31 review and get back to me.
I guess that's the last question we'll do. We capped it off at 10 o'clock. But I tell you, I had a great time this stream, guys. I don't know about you guys. My voice cracked.
My cheeks hurt from
your cheeks hurt.
laughing.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other cheek.
Ow!
From sitting down. I don't know. Well, are you saying you don't have your hands on your armrests and your butt cheeks like off the chair?
No.
Are you not? I spit on your grave cosplaying right now.
I'm not.
I'll show it to you guys before we go.
Woo!
There you go. It's right there.
It's a little moist on the front there.
That's
you got a little something there on the cover.
That's Demi.
Hello, Demi.
There you go. Could be, right?
Yeah, possibly.
Lindsay, what do you got coming up?
I don't know. Literally, I do not know. Like, I'm not sure when I'm going to get to edit again. I have 3 or 4 videos pre-recorded, but yeah, I have no idea when I get to edit them.
Thanks,
your kid does
welcome.
sleep at some point, doesn't he?
What?
I said your kid does sleep at some point, right?
Yeah, but when he's sleeping, then I'm usually trying to do prep stuff for my business, and then in the evenings, John comes home and he's watching him, but then I have clients coming that I'm doing lashes for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
And yes, clients. I do beauty things on
Clients
CP.
and lashes.
Trust me, it wouldn't take me 3 hours.
I am not gonna go there.
She did.
What do you have
Sorry.
coming, Charles?
CP, which disgustingly brutal movie do you have planned next?
All right, so Solo's officially out. That's
Jesus.
You want to talk about a movie that sticks with you
Yeah.
for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up. I've already seen a Serbian film,
Good.
but I'd have to watch it again to like review it, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that, especially right after Salo. We've watched Inside, which is kind of horrible.
I've been planning on watching that actually.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's not the worst thing ever, but like if you're a female, I couldn't imagine. Yeah. Perhaps that. I interviewed. Shout out to Bryan Lomax, who isn't here. Bryan,
Are you gonna pick that up for him?
It's flipping distracting.
I interviewed Bryan yesterday, and next Tuesday, Lindsay will join Emily, Gory, Felicia Lobo, Nightmare Maven. Am I missing one? I don't know. Fuck. My apologies if I forgot one. But we're a Final Girl.
Queenie can't make it, right?
Queenie can't make it on Tuesday. Yeah. So I think that would have been the other one. Tuesday night, 9 p.m. We're talking about possession movies.
Oh, cool. Fun.
Yeah.
Cody?
Cool. Gonna have Scream 4. As long as nothing falls out of the fucking sky and stops me, I'm gonna try to get that out tomorrow evening at the latest. Scream 4?
Yeah.
Wes Craven.
Oh.
This is where I stop talking. No. So Scream 4 is going to come tomorrow, and then I'm going to do my ranking of that, and then I'm going to jump headfirst into Halloween. I'm going to do The Predator, obviously. I'm going to try to see that sometime tomorrow. But once I start Halloween, since I have to review all of them before the 19th, it's probably going to be pretty much exclusively doing that on my channel for almost a month. Yeah. So I'm going to knock those out. We're obviously the new movie when that comes out. Then I'm going to rank the Halloween films again because my highest ranked or my highest viewed video is my original ranking, which was kind of a last minute thing that I did. So this is going to actually be like a actual like revisited ranking to see if my shit has changed over time. And then I know we talked about it before, but I'll keep plugging it just to get people excited for it. Halloween Day, we're all going to be doing, or those of us that want to put the work in, are going to do the ranking the big three, which is
31
shots
movies.
fired.
Yeah. I got to get one more fucking Cody Leach before we get out of here. So it's
I'm not going to give it to you.
I got a Charles.
Oh. I'll get it in text form later. But but we're going to be doing a ranking the big three. So we're going to be taking all the Nightmare movies, all the Halloween movies, and all the Friday the 13th movies once the new Halloween is out, and putting them into one list and ranking them worst to best. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to doing that.
31 on 31.
Yeah.
Okay.
So mostly Halloween shit.
Yeah. And speaking of Halloween shit, I just finished up my revisited series. People think I'm going to go back and review Halloween again. It's done. It's over. I'm done with Halloween, and that's my favorate franchise. But it's kind of nice to not be reviewing. Now I will say,
mark the time code.
Go ahead and mark the time code. But I will say that I am doing a vlog, a Halloween daily vlog leading up to the new movie. That's going to be like just 5 minutes, me talking about a scene or maybe just a personal memory or something like that of each movie along the way. Quick little 5-minute type deal, kind of like a Drumdums watches for each movie, but like a mini. So I'm gonna do that, and then I gotta do. I want to jump back into some like Giallo films. I gotta do the second part to Suspiria. But I can't remember the name of the second part in his mother's trilogy, but I'm doing that one, and then I'm gonna do some patron requests. I gotta do Candyman, Savage Streets with Linda Blair because I love Linda Blair to death, and Drag Me to Hell. So I think that's and the Hitcher VHS review. So looking forward to those.
Cody, they're asking why you didn't do a trailer 2 reaction.
Yeah, I'm just responding. He isn't watching them.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah,
watching
I'm not. I made the decision because I had heard some rumblings that it gives away an entire sequence and stuff like that. So I don't really need to see any more of the movie. I'm gonna go see it. So I have zero reason to watch any more trailers. My ass is already in the seat. To be honest, I didn't even need the first trailer, but it was nice to have.
Yeah.
That gave me all I needed. They gave me all I needed. So I don't need a second trailer. I don't need a third trailer because I've been burned way too many times in the past with trailers fucking up my experience watching movies. So I've kind of adopted the philosophy anymore. There's some movies like A Quiet Place, Hereditary, even some from last year that I don't even watch the trailer at all. I walk in totally blind.
Yeah.
So that's all. I went to see The Nun this past weekend, which again, yeah, I might.
Did
review
we talk
that.
about that, by the way?
No. We could.
No.
But
that movie.
yeah. But I went to see The Nun, and whenever I heard the John Carpenter cue come up, I told my daughter, I was like, I'll be right back. And I just went out and stood in the lobby for 2 minutes.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing
so-
too about like spoilers, because I made a post on Twitter because I think spoilers are bad, but I think even worse is when people say I heard ... and they'll tell you I heard this happen, and it's one of those endings that like it's a 50-50 shot that what they're saying did happen, and so then that clouds your mind, and that makes me even like more fucking angry. So
Well, I mean, the 50-50 is it's true or it's not.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
It's
I'd
it's
say
r-
just
they-
don't even
they
say
put us-
anything if you do know something, because that's just gonna piss people off, you know.
They put us in a rough fucking position premiering that movie
They
so
really
far
did.
out.
I wish they wouldn't.
Because man, it's good for everybody that got to see it. You know, shout out
But
to
I've
Dave
already
McCray. you
I've already
son of
saw a
bitch.
few
But,
like mild spoilers on social media already. I don't know.
I
like,
haven't
Michael
seen
Myers
anything.
gets
I haven't yet, but
yeah, so it's
yeah, it's
didn't want to spoil that for you guys.
it's frustrating. So anyway, guys, that's it. That's the another Scream stream is in the can. Thanks to everybody for showing up, and I hope everybody has a great evening. And
Tonight's Eddie flavor.
Yes.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Fuck. It's potato.
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 Ugh. All right.
God.